but morally.
Developing today, new details about the late Queen's hatred of Meghan Markle and how palace insiders view the final betrayal.
With coming across as a hypocrite or a contradiction. No cookies, I don't know. But Meghan felt like she didn't belong, in my personal opinion, because she refused to respect and learn about the family and institution that she married.
Oh, Meghan. You can sit there in your Montecito mansion hosting those polished podcasts, cashing in on Netflix specials and staging those dreamy photo ops with Harry, but let me tell you something. There's one beast you cannot tame. And no, it's not the tabloids, it's not Twitter trolls, it's the whispers. The whispers echoing through those centuries-old palace walls. And this week, those whispers didn't just echo, they erupted like a cannon blast straight out of the Tower of London, tearing through the polished facade of royal silence. Now here's the thing. Palace insiders don't throw labels around like confetti at a royal wedding. No. These are people who've spent their lives making sure silverware worth more than an average family home shines brighter than the crown itself. These are people who've been trained to keep family scandals buried beneath layers of velvet and protocol. People who've smiled through clenched teeth while the monarchy survived divorce dramas, secret affairs, and even abdications. So when one of them dares to actually open their mouth and say the quiet part out loud, you better believe it's seismic. And what did this insider drop into the world? Brace yourself, because they didn't call Meghan difficult or controversial or even polarizing. Oh no, they went nuclear. They called her, wait for it, the most destructive royal ever. Yes, you heard that right. Not one of the most, not arguably the most destructive royal ever. In royal circles, that's like being exiled to a freezing castle tower with nothing but a drafty window and a single candle. It's a scarlet letter you never wash off. And the wildest part? This wasn't a reporter chasing clicks after a long night at the pub. This came from a palace figure who knows the monarchy inside and out. Someone who sat in those briefing rooms, mopped up those PR fires, and seen exactly how things play out when the firm feels threatened. This wasn't just feather ruffling. According to them, Meghan didn't just ruffle the peacock, she grabbed a sledgehammer and smashed the whole bird.
I mean, do you really think if he told Meghan not to do this, she would listen?
No, but
I don't want to
the
defend
key
Harry,
irony
but...
though? Isn't that the key irony? Harry tried to say that it was William who was trapped within the royal family, but I would argue.
Now imagine being Meghan, sitting in that Santa Barbara mansion filled with curated art, plush designer throws, and lavender candles that cost more than rent. Then hearing that you're the most destructive royal ever. It doesn't just sting, it cuts straight through her armor and confirms the nightmare she's been fighting since day one, that she was never accepted, never understood, and always painted as the villain of the royal soap opera. And remember, the palace doesn't speak casually. They're not the kind to blurt things out without intent. Oh no, this is chess, not checkers. According to the insider, Meghan's arrival didn't just cause tension, it unleashed a chain reaction more explosive than anything in modern royal history, more destabilizing than Prince Andrew's disgrace, more shattering than Diana's divorce, even more earthquaking than Edward VIII throwing away the crown for Wallace Simpson. Yes, that's the scale they're comparing her to. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Love her or loathe her, you cannot deny the trail of chaos that has followed Meghan since she first waltzed into Windsor, from the whirlwind romance that left the world starry-eyed, to the fairy tale wedding with millions glued to their screens, to the lavish gowns and bold statements. But then, the shift. Staff quitting in tears, the Duchess difficult headlines splashed across tabloids, the dramatic retreat to Canada, the Oprah interview that lit Windsor Castle ablaze with accusations, and then the Netflix docuseries that painted Buckingham Palace as some cold, bureaucratic haunted house. But the insider dropped one dagger that cuts deeper than all the rest. They said it wasn't even Meghan's public antics that did the real damage. It was what she destroyed in private. Now, that's a bombshell, because the public only sees the interviews, the glossy magazine covers, the inspirational speeches, but behind gilded doors, that's where the real game is played. And according to this insider, Meghan didn't just bend the rules, she torched the rule book and dared the palace to stop her.
Oh, you horribly odious woman, honestly. I don't know.
And oh, it gets even juicier, because this little palace comment, it didn't stay locked in the corridors of Buckingham. Oh no, it's spreading. From London dinner parties whispered over champagne flutes to exclusive members-only clubs where royals and aristocrats smirk over brandy, this little nugget of gossip is making the rounds like forbidden contraband. And each time it's told, the edges sharpen. What started as a palace staffer supposedly saying Meghan was destructive has now morphed into a storyline being told as if it's official palace gospel. Meghan Markle has been branded the most destructive royal in history, and Meghan, she's crushed. Sources whisper she actually broke down in tears when she heard it. And not because she can't handle criticism, God knows she's had her fair share, but because this wasn't the tabloids. This was coming from inside the palace, from people she once thought she could belong with, people who were supposed to have been her family. She's pacing the halls in Montecito, ranting about the smear campaign, raging that the royals will never let her live in peace. And honestly, she might not be wrong.
There are more than a dozen instances of Meghan breaking the...
Let's be real here. Meghan's relationship with the monarchy? It's like one of those soap operas that refuses to end. Just when you think the story's wrapped up, boom, another twist explodes out of nowhere, dragging everyone back into the drama. And the timing of this latest slap? Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Because Meghan's been trying desperately to polish up her image. The Spotify deal tanked, the Netflix backlash was loud, Hollywood's been whispering that the shine is gone. And right as she's hustling to claw her way back, what happens? A palace voice slaps her with the label of the most destructive royal in history. That's not just a bad headline, that's a branding disaster. See, Meghan spent years building this image of herself as the change maker, the woman who modernized the monarchy, dragged it into the 21st century. But from the palace's point of view, the only thing she modernized was the speed at which centuries-old traditions could be blown to pieces. And here's the cruel twist. In the royal game, perception is reality. Doesn't matter what's fair, what's true. The palace knows this, and they're playing it to perfection. Let's not sugarcoat it. The monarchy isn't some helpless victim in this saga. Oh no, this is the same institution that's perfected the art of controlling the press. They leak stories with surgical precision. They build reputations when it suits them and erase them when it doesn't. So if this most destructive label is circulating, you'd better believe it's no accident. This is a warning shot. A very public, very calculated message. We see you, we haven't forgotten, and we can still destroy you if we want to. And if Meghan thinks this is the worst of it, oh honey, she should brace herself. Because once the dam cracks, the flood never stops. When insiders start talking, they don't just stop at one story. They keep dripping, 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 each leak sharper than the last, until suddenly, the Netflix documentary looks like a bedtime fairy tale compared to what's hitting the press. Yes, Harry, the king of emotional oversharing, drafting yet another emotional defense of Meghan. A statement so dripping with fury and hurt that you can practically hear palace aides toasting champagne in the background. Because every time Harry speaks, they win. Every word proves their narrative. That the Sussexes are reactive, emotional, and incapable of restraint. And the palace? They do what they do best, nothing. Silence, which in PR is more devastating than words. No denials, no clarifications, no, the palace declined to comment. They just let the label live, repeated endlessly on talk shows, in columns, on social media, until it cements into truth. Here's the genius. The palace doesn't even have to own it. They shrug, say, it's just a personal opinion of a former staff member. But their silence is endorsement. It's Machiavellian PR at its finest, and Meghan is right in the crosshairs. Her team scrambles, maybe a big US talk show appearance, a sit-down where she can humanize herself, tear up a little, charm America all over again. But the plan hits a wall. Even the friendliest outlets are backing away. Why? Because Meghan interviews are ratings landmines. Sure, they bring attention, but also a tsunami of backlash, and no producer wants to risk that. So what's left? Instagram quotes. The white background, elegant font kind. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. And cue the comments. Half fans calling her a queen, half detractors rolling their eyes so hard they might sprain something. Meanwhile, the UK press is doubling down. Fresh think pieces every day. Meghan failed to integrate. Meghan misunderstood her role. Meghan chose personal gain over duty. And don't fool yourself. These stories aren't random. They're a steady palace drip feed, one a day, every day, until her reputation calcifies into something unshakable. Harry's frustration? Off the charts. He knows his family has zero intention of ever letting him fix this rift. In fact, whispers from the palace hint that their plan is to keep the Sussexes permanently outside the fold. No reconciliations, no staged photo ops, just a slow fade into irrelevance. And here's the most brutal truth. Outside of royal drama, Meghan and Harry are struggling to make headlines that stick. Their charity work barely noticed. Archewell projects, fizzle, even Harry's environmental speeches, yawns. Their feud is the only thing keeping them relevant, and the palace knows it. Which is why this most destructive royal ever line isn't just an insult, it's a framing, a defining stamp, and it's spreading. US outlets are picking it up now too. Once that happens, Meghan loses her last safe space. If America turns skeptical, game over, and Meghan knows it. Friends whisper that behind closed doors she's devastated, swinging between tears and fury, demanding a new narrative, something that will flip the script. But here's the problem. She's already played her biggest cards. Oprah, Netflix, Harry's memoir. What's left? Retelling the same stories, recycling the same grievances, and repetition without escalation? It's PR death. Harry tries to help, records a video message defending Meghan, raw and emotional. Talks about malicious actors, dangerous rhetoric, abuse within the institution. It's heartfelt, but it lands like a lead balloon. Critics mock him as thin-skinned. UK tabloids headline it, Prince whines again. Another own goal. And just when Meghan thinks maybe the storm might finally die down, boom, another exclusive, another palace insider. This time branding her the most difficult member of the royal family in modern history. Not just destructive now, difficult. A double hit. One paints her as dangerous to the monarchy, the other as unbearable on a human level. Anonymous staffers pipe up too, claiming she was entitled, arrogant, dismissive. Did she really believe palace staff were beneath her? Maybe, maybe not. But once that seed is planted, it sticks. And Meghan's circle, shrinking. Oprah, keeping her distance. Jessica Mulroney, gone. Even Hollywood influencer friends are allegedly urging her to go quiet, not because they don't care, but because brands hate feuds. Isolation, that's the danger now. In Hollywood, isolation is the first step toward irrelevance, and Meghan feels it closing in. Her last move? A glossy, overproduced video message direct to her followers, 10 minutes of carefully lit vulnerability, soft piano, designer dress. Her truth. But even that backfires. Viewers spotted the luxury throw on the couch, the strategically placed coffee table book with her own cover facing the camera. Vulnerability or performance? The comment sections turned brutal. Supporters praised her courage. Skeptics tore her apart. Scripted, tone-deaf, self-serving. And just as the dust was settling, Kensington Palace drops photos of Kate, glowing, smiling, hugging sick children at a hospice. The contrast? Devastating. Kate framed as pure service, Meghan framed as self-absorbed, and Meghan reportedly in tears, realizing the palace isn't going to stop. Every counter-move, every strategy, outplayed, out-timed, out-framed. Because here's the truth no one told her before she married in: the game never ends, and the palace never tires. And as Meghan sits in her Montecito mansion, the silence around her deafening. One reality hits harder than all the gossip. If she thought she could control her story, she's just learned the cruelest lesson of all. In the royal world, the palace always holds the pen. The palace always holds